Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to interviews for our upcoming release with Poems from the Heart. I'm Crystal Ortiz, a co-author and also hosting interviews, and I have here co-author Patricia Wald-Hopkins. Thank you so much for joining us today. Happy to
Thank
have
you.
you.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Okay, great. So we're going to dive into some of these questions and get to know some things about you and your writing strategies, your thought process, things of that nature. And so the first thing I'd like to ask you is what inspired you to participate in Poems from the Heart and to share your poetry?
Hmm. Well, I really, I really wanted to, like I've been part of collaborative books, before and with Radhaa Publishing House. But this one, I had never written poetry before. Like I've done transmissions, channel transmissions and things like that. So this was like a sort of a next level for me of sharing the messages that are coming through me, through my heart, especially. So that was really why I wanted to participate, was to be able to write poetry, write it in a poetic form, instead of more of a explanation of why I do this and why I do that. This is just like pure heart language, right? That kind of thing. So
Okay, okay. And are you able to offer a glimpse of the creative process behind your contribution to the collaborative book?
sure. So um when I write, like I mentioned, it's usually very from a channel, like a channeled place. And so I really just tune in to the silence of what, what is around what I want to talk about. So I wanted to have a conversation with Gaia, with Mother Earth, right? Because I do a lot of work with Mother Earth and with Gaia in both of my business and in my work, my professional field of environmental. And so I just wanted to get quiet around that and just set sacred space and just let it just come through, like unedited, right? Just let it flow through. And what ended up happening is it broke out into like six distinct themes, and then I kind of refined it from there. And so it's a very natural, flowy process. And then the final edits at the end, which is probably similar to everybody, I guess.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay. And so, how has your experience with Radha Publishing House and the Author Incubator Program impacted your poetic journey?
Mm. Well, two things come to mind. One is the community that I was brought into or introduced to through this work has allowed me to connect with some beautiful artists, right? Other poets, and that has really felt nourishing for me, to have a community around that. And also just gave me a new sense of confidence in my voice that I didn't have before, a new quality. And yeah, those were the two main things for me, broadening my horizons. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, great. What aspects of the workshops and feedback sessions have helped you refine and enhance your poetry?
Mm. So one of the I can't remember which one it was. There were a couple of sessions that we had, but Radha created like a very sacred container, and for like, I mean, in my heart actually opened up, and things just came out because I felt safe to express, things that I probably wouldn't talk about normally. And so that was very helpful to tap into the poems, was that safe space, and her guiding to to express things that we might hide from ourselves or from others, you know, that it's okay to bring that through poetry. So that was one of the biggest things that helped me with the sessions.
Yeah, I found those helpful too, because
Mhm.
I would be stuck. Like,
Right?
what am I writing? Blank mind.
Overwhelm for me, what?
Yeah, yeah. So they were extremely helpful, and I love
Yeah.
hearing this from not only from you, but from several of our other authors that the incubator program has helped, and kind of the same, but also in its own unique way for each individual.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Okay. And what ways do you feel that Poems from the Heart captures the essence of your unique poetic voice and perspective?
So, as I mentioned, I really wanted to connect with poetry around Gaia or Mother Earth. And so Poems from the Heart, the ones that I submitted are all about that, like some deep conversations around forgiveness and, you know, just tapping into my relationship with Mother Earth, which hasn't always been great. You know, it hasn't always been very deeply connected. So it brought a unique, it's brought my unique voice of Gaia through in the work. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, and do you have any of your poems or a piece of one to share with our viewers?
Sure. Let me just thought you might ask that. So let me just pop one open. Okay. Yeah, this one's not too long. It's the first one actually, and it's titled Prayer for Forgiveness. What must die within us to be free of the old ways? What must die within us to be free to create beauty? The corruption, the selfishness, the fear, the pride, the unconscious ways that wreak havoc on your beautiful body, on our bodies, the ways we have hurt ourselves and one another, the war that created the fire and the ashes, the rage against one another for power over the other, the famine caused by greed, the ways I have hurt myself and others. Please forgive me. Please forgive us. I know better now. We know better now. May we begin again, leading from our hearts, letting the mind be the servant of the master heart. And Gaia responds, child, may your body soften and receive my love. You have never, ever been forsaken. My love for you is deeper than any corruption, any selfishness, any fear, any pride, any act of desecration of my body or yours. I hold you now in an embrace of forgiveness. Whisper love into your body through all your senses. We are one. That's it.
I love that. I
Thank you.
love that. I actually read it in the master document. So
Okay.
yeah,
You're ahead of me
to
then.
have like your face with the name that was in there.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful.
How do you envision the collaborative nature of Poems from the Heart shaping the collective experience of readers and poets alike?
Mm. Well, collectively, all the different voices that are in there, I feel like it's going to expand the consciousness of many people to be able to tell their stories in a different way through poetry, um, because it's more authentic in some ways, right? Than like when, you know, they're very polished, poems can be very polished, but the essence is there, which sometimes gets lost. And so I feel like it's going to show people that poetry is a beautiful way to communicate about the deepest parts of what matters to them. So
Yeah, I
mhm.
agree. Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, do you have any memorable moments or insights gained during your involvement with Radhaa Publishing House and the collaborative project?
Mm. You know, what really came forward for me was that I still had a fear of being part of groups, even though I hold groups and run groups. And it was like, it brought me into a more intimate relationship with that part of myself that had a fear of sharing, like
Mhm.
authentically. And so it helped heal that part of me in a deeper way that I thought I had done a lot of work around that, but it being in her circle really allowed me to heal that even more deeply. Those sister wounds, or the all that kind of thing that comes with community. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yes, she holds some supportive groups. Like,
yeah, she does. She's a very powerful woman.
mhm.
Mhm.
Okay. And how has participating in this project empowered you as a poet and contributed to your growth and development?
Well, it definitely gave me a platform that has, a legitimate presence and a valued presence, in the world, Radhaa Publishing House. And so that has given me the opportunity to have people see my work, right? Which they may never have if I hadn't participated in. So that's been a huge aspect of what I was gifted by participating. Yeah. Mhm.
Beautiful. Okay. And as we approach the release of Poems from the Heart, what are you most excited about, and how do you plan to promote the book within your network or community?
Mm. When you started saying that, I started to get nervous because I know I'm really excited about, sharing and maybe doing some readings of the I submitted, I think there are six little poems, and so I'm really excited to read those to my community, and to share the work of that is also in the book from other poets. Not me reading it, but just, making people in my community aware of all of the variety that's in the book. And so probably some YouTube or on my Instagram account, and on my newsletters for my community, and
Oh,
sharing it
great.
that way. And
Yeah.
maybe a local book thing. I don't know, I might do that too if I get organized.
Yeah, right. All right.
Mm.
Do you have a significant moment or experience that solidified your passion for poetry?
Mm. Well, I started writing poetry when I was a teenager.
Mm.
And I mean, I had notebooks and notebooks and notebooks of it. So I always knew that I loved to write. And then I forgot about it for for about 20 years. And
Oh.
so I really feel like this, although I've been doing like channeled transmissions and things like that, but since then I feel like this book has brought me back to that essence of when I was a teenager, and I really had this desire to share through poetry, and then I just kind of put it aside and went, distracted into other things. So the aha for me was that I want to return to writing more poetry, and learning how to do it in different ways, you know, because there's definitely a mastery to it that I will be working on probably the rest of my life. So
Yeah, yeah. Learning process. We learn our whole lives. Okay.
Mhm, mhm.
Okay. What themes or subjects do you find yourself drawn to most frequently in your poetry, and why do they resonate with you?
Mm. I tell you right now, it's all around relationships with the earth, like how we live upon the earth, and how we live in harmony or in disharmony with the earth and with ourselves.
Mhm.
I mean, literally within ourselves, it starts there. And
Mm-hmm.
so healing that separation from our authentic self, and then how that kind of ripples, well, it doesn't kind of, it does ripple out into our, relationships with our family, with our friends, with our community, and with our homes and the earth that we sit upon, right, right here, right now. Because when you can learn to fully love and accept yourself, then you are more willing to have that kind of relationship with others and with the planet. So I'm a big environmental, I wouldn't say I'm an activist, but I've been working in environmental health for 30 years. And so I really have a passion to bring forth messages about loving yourself is loving the earth.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, it's not anything new, right? And it's just that we forget. We get distracted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We're
I
all
do. I do.
connected as one.
Yeah.
Okay. And how do you overcome creative blocks or challenges when writing? And do you have any tips for other writers facing similar obstacles?
Mm. One thing that really helps me is spending time outside, working with my hands,
Mm-hmm.
or painting or drawing. Like I can find, like I can bring down the essence of something through painting, drawing, or digital art, and then writing from that place, because it kind of just gets the juices flowing, or reading other people's poetry, right? Reading or watching, yeah, that really inspires me too. But a lot of it is just doing something creative, creating some art helps me a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in what ways has poetry helped you to navigate and make sense of complex emotions or life experiences?
It's given me the opportunity to write about things that I probably might have just kept locked inside me, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And so it's brought resolution, um, brought light to it, brought awareness to it, so that it doesn't get stuck in my body and make me sick, that kind of thing. So it's a good way to process definitely emotional issues or quandaries. I don't
Good
know.
release. Yeah,
A
absolutely.
release, beautiful. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, release.
Absolutely. Okay. And what are your aspirations and goals as a poet? How do you envision your poetic voice continuing to evolve and grow?
Mm, that's a great question. I feel like I'm going to be divinely led to my next project, like it's going to be probably another layer of writing about the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that's the direction that I'm going, is poetry that's about nature and about the earth. And I just feels like that's where I'm going. I just feel it in my bones. That's all I know. I,
Okay, it
I don't
resonates
have
with
any
me.
specific plans yet.
Yeah, that's a part of you. If you said you've been in environmentalist work for 30 years, that is you. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. That's great. I like that. That's perfect.
Thank you.
Okay. And what's been the most rewarding aspect of participating in creating poems from the heart?
It has really been amazing to actually see them. And on, well, they're digital now, but just to see them there, it's like this tangible part of something that came out of me, right? And that is just so rewarding, to
Yeah,
have it captured that way. Yeah.
yeah, I
It's
felt
simple,
that
but very
same,
powerful.
isn't it?
Right?
It's like, oh wow, like this came from in here in my mind somewhere. Wrote it on a paper and not just like a notebook that's gonna go under the bed and be hidden, but it's gonna be shown.
Right.
to people worldwide and in bookstores and online, and that's
and maybe inspire somebody, right? And
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's super inspirational. It feels good. It feels like such a sense of accomplishment. Like, wow, I did this, and they did it too with me, and we're all a part of this
yeah,
collective project. It feels nice.
it
Yeah,
does.
I'm
Yeah.
happy you feel that way too.
Mhm.
Okay. And why do you believe that Poems from the Heart is so important today? And what do you hope it will contribute to the literary landscape?
Mhm. Well, from my point of view, I work a lot within the field of like science and technical, documents, and I think the world needs to make sure that they balance that, right? And return to that other side of who they are, because science is only one little piece, right?
Mhm,
And I think, and it's not everything. And without literature and poems that are written from that, from the authentic essence of who each one of us are, we we kind of get flat. Like we don't have, there's no inspiration in our life. We just sort of go through day by day, and it just feels really flat. So I feel like it adds, it brings us back to life in a sense. It can rekindles our spirit, right?
mhm,
And as far as specifically poems from the heart, um, I feel like the women, and I'm not sure if I think there are some men also participating in it. Are
mhm.
there? I haven't
There's a
met
few.
them yet, and I feel like it has a very specific signature that we're going to be adding to the literature um, field or world that hasn't been there before. And yeah, Radhaa Publishing House has started a movement, I think, around writing poems from the heart. So
Absolutely. Okay. And how do you plan to celebrate the release of Poems from the Heart? And what does this milestone mean to you?
mm. Wow, how am I going to celebrate? Can I just take like a whole summer off now? Just kidding.
Yeah, why not?
Um, I think I actually will like to take just a quiet, weekend in nature for myself to celebrate, and then maybe have some friends over, and we can read some of the poetry or something like that. I there was something I was going to say about that. Can you repeat the question? There was another part I wanted to speak to, but it,
Oh yeah. So how to celebrate it and what does this milestone mean to you?
right, what does this milestone mean to me? Well, I have been working on this other pathway, right? I had the science path that I was been on, and I started on the healing arts path too. And then in the last 10 years, I started on this other path of writing.
Mhm,
And it was all like it's a milestone, is like the integration of all the parts of me
mhm.
right now, right? I'm finally able to be all of me. Before I could only be a certain part. So the milestone for me is that I finally can express all of me. Um, and I did in that those poems that I wrote in this book. So
Okay. All right. And can you share a moment or experience during your journey of creating your poetry that your poetry and Poems from the Heart, the book itself, that deeply moved or inspired you?
deeply moved from within my poems, or or in the
Any,
process of writing
anything.
anything?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So one of the things, it was during one of the creative sessions that was held. I had this deep, like, ancestral healing happen.
Mm.
And yeah, it just like came through. And I had this remembrance and this calling from my ancestors that I needed to use my voice. I needed I needed to speak about things um, that my ancestors maybe weren't able to talk about. So
Mm.
it was an ancestral, yeah, experience. Yeah.
That's deep. I like that. Those are always great when you have those
Right.
moments. Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's like kind of
Connect.
electrical almost. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay. What legacy do you hope Poems from the Heart will leave behind, both for you as a poet and for the readers who engage in it?
Hmm. That we are now entering into an era of authentic being and expression, and writing again from our hearts, and moving away from kind of gaslighting one another and being superficial about things. So I think the legacy is authenticity. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, that's a good way to move, good direction to move into. Long overdue.
Long overdue.
Okay. And how did Radha Publishing help you accomplish your poetic goals and dreams?
Well, creating this collaborative book project gave the opportunity, and I have to say that the ability for Radha and her team to be patient and to really allow people the space that they need to be creative, right? Creativity happens when it flows, and so keeping that flow going, that's
Mm-hmm.
what has really helped me, while still having milestones and things that need to happen, but allowing it to be more natural and more in flow, which is not something that I run into in the technical field. It's like, just get it done, right? And in anywhere, any business field, right? It's like, just get it done.
Mm-hmm. At this date and this time, have it in this
Mhm.
box.
Right?
Stressful.
Stressful.
So,
So
yeah,
yes, it felt good. It was a good experience around writing. So yeah.
yeah, I agree. I
Mhm.
definitely agree with that. Okay, so this is gonna be our last question. And looking back at your journey with Poems from the Heart, what lessons have you learned about the power, the power of poetry and collaboration in storytelling and self-expression?
It takes courage and commitment, um, and willingness to be seen, to let for it to really feel meaningful, you have to let yourself really be seen. And that I think I've done to varying degrees over my life. And this time it felt good because it was in a group of other people who were also being courageous and being devoted and committed to their voice. So that helped a lot, to have that community.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's been important that we've all been able to connect and interconnect with one another on social media to keep everything alive and to keep in contact and keep everything going. And hey, who needs help with this or who needs help with that? Or I'm available this time, I'm available this time. And everybody put their little contribution in to make this big
Mhm.
project that it's going to be, well, that it is.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I
thank you
agree.
for being a part of this with us.
Thank you for so generously interviewing and doing this part too. Appreciate it.
All right. So that's all for now for today. Until next time. And again, I'm Crystal and we have Patricia, and we'll be seeing you soon with more interviews from Poems for the Heart.
Thank you.